Scrub fam, what is up? It's Zapp coming at you with not one but two deck profiles today. As we are on the crux of the set 6 format ending, we have new ban lists coming. We have set 7 on the horizon. A whole bunch of new cards, some new archetypes. Really looking forward to exploring this with you. Really looking forward to exploring the format, the events that come. Of course, we're constantly producing content on here as well as on the 3XG Productions Patreon. Check out the description below if you're not familiar with what's going on with that. Um, but let's get to it. So preliminary testing through the Shenron's Lair Boy, shout out to them and other 3XG production specialists. We have a couple opinions on the format right now, or the format that we're going into, and one of those big impressions are that black leaders are pushed. Now there's a whole wish archetype to explore through the new, I believe Returning the Troops is the name of the extra card, and that's going to bring up a whole bunch of new decks. I'm going to hit that in another video later this week or next week. But right now I really want to highlight the impact of the new Overwhelm support between the Anniversary box and set 7. There are a lot of black cards impacting the format, and I want to take some time to talk about two decks that, between the ban list and these new cards, I think are going to be very, very competitive. The first of those being Demigra. I don't think it's too much of a surprise that Demigra has started to make some small waves in the format. We see that in large because of the price tag associated with Vegeta Time Regulator. Um, but we're getting some people that pop up. The Towa leader's been incredibly successful. We just saw got second place at the Richmond Regional. We know Peter Katani was able to get first place with Demigra in the teams event at Origins. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that these leaders are right on the cusp of being mainstream tier 1 threats at any event that you go to. And I think these new cards have pushed it over the edge. Demigra traditionally being a interesting, aggressive deck that tries to produce as many overwhelms as possible, and gets limited by the card pool. You're really forced to be in the mono black almost entirely, and two, the impact of your leader is heavily seated in your ability to awaken early. However, with the innovation of Toki Toki City coming in from set 7, that the deck no longer needs multiple overwhelms every turn to be a competitive threat. For those of you not familiar with Toki Toki City, the way it works is once it hits the board, every time you overwhelm in a turn, it can be multiple times, you put one card from the top of your deck underneath this Toki Toki City. And then activate main, you put the 3 cards underneath Toki Toki, put them in the drop, further fueling your overwhelm, and all those battle cards stay for the duration of the turn. Now, in previous versions of Demigra, we saw this Toki Toki City would just keep 15 and 20k threats on the board, which is cool, but not over the top. But where it does get insane is when Food the Dark Banisher comes into the picture. This battle card staying on board ensures that for the opponent's turn, every skill that they activate, they have to warp a card. That includes trying to draw with their leader, that includes flipping their leader, and that includes any extra card that they try to play. Every turn that Food the Dark Banisher stays on board is increasing the opportunity for it to be a threat. And we're going to see, as the format continues, this is going to be a mainstay. I'm incredibly confident of it. The synergy with Toki Toki City is insane. Not only are you putting 3 additional cards in your drop before you play the Foo to keep it on board, making it even easier to play, but if Toki Toki City resolves, you can get more than 3 cards underneath it. So if you get Toki Toki City on turn 1 or 2 and you awaken and overwhelm enough that you go into turn 5 with over the course of the game, if you put 6 cards underneath Toki Toki, it's not unreasonable to get 2 through the Dark Banishers to stay on board. And if the game's not over at that point, they're not playing the game. But to go into the deck profile more specifically, don't want to spend too much time on it because I think a lot of the cards are fairly standard. We do see Son Goku making an entrance, being a new card to add to the deck. While being a 0/0 on the combo is definitely a limiter, I really appreciate how it's such a powerful target for Power Burst. Running 3 copies of Power Burst, you're able to recycle the Son Goku making an entrance and then replay it. So essentially you have a negate that gets you another negate. And I think that has opportunities to be really impactful. Another overwhelm that we add to the deck, Trunks Time Regulator. In a lot of ways, this reminds me of Time Patrol Trunks. Occasionally it's better. They both have the same overwhelm cost of 3. They both have the same attack power. Time Patrol Trunks looks at the top 2 and lets you alter if those cards out of your hand, top of deck, bottom of deck. Time Patrol or Time Regulator is draw 2, warp 1. That has 2 benefits. One, generally speaking, you're going to have a card in your hand that's worse than the card on the top of your deck, so you are improving the quality of your hand. And 2, if you overwhelm this on 1, so you swing with your leader, you burst 3, you warp them for the Trunks Time Regulator, draw 2, warp 1. At the end of the turn, the Trunks gets warped. You now have 5 cards in your warp, and you're guaranteeing that the your super combo is valid. Not that you always need a super combo on turn 1, but it's cool that you have the opportunity to do that. We also see Supreme Kai of Time Regulator. This card is a cantrip that draws you a card. This is your primary target off Toki Toki. Toki Toki being a very valuable card in the deck because when you use Vegeta Time Regulator to put cards from your work back in your deck, you're begging for a shuffle. If I put 2 super combos back, I really want to shuffle in and draw it again. And Toki Toki in a Supreme Kai of Time not only gives you additional defense, but gives you that essential deck shuffle. Demigra the Sorcerer being a tech 3 of in here, mostly because it's a tool to help us self-awaken. The biggest weakness that Demigra has is that it struggles to awaken on its own terms. And with a lot of the anti-aggro hate, such as the Supreme Time Disruptor that we already play copies of ourselves, and cards like Goku striving to be the best, Dark Power Black Saiyan isn't always the most reliable awakening tool. So Demigra the Sorcerer allows us to do that, and occasionally will punish other decks like Shenron and Skilless that try to gather a large hand. Other than that, the rest of the deck is relatively straightforward. Again, you're trying to get to turn 4 with 3 cards underneath your Toki Toki City, play through the Dark Banisher, have it stick, play more Overwhelm, and then play aggressively for a turn or 2 to hopefully get you there. We do splash 1 copy of Furthering Destruction Champa because we don't have a whole bunch of finishers in the deck, and other than that, we have what Demigra is going to look like going into the next set. If you haven't started testing this leader, you need to put it at the top of your priority list. But if you don't have set 7 in your hand yet, and you're trying to get a feel for what decks, what an aggressive black deck in the new format may look like, I have for you Mira 1 with Darkness. Mirror Storm Aggro is a crazy aggressive deck that I've been playing with myself for the last few days. Definitely got some insight from a few people. Matt, Frisco, Chris Welsh have really given me insight on how to push this leader. And really what I said to myself was, I love the idea of playing the skillless cards in Demigra. However, Demigra was, again, struggling with this question of how do I awaken? Mira 1 with Darkness is able to self-awaken while fueling the drop and creates a really interesting opportunity to play a skillless variant. So we see Dimension Support Trunks and Training Buddy Krillin, 2 cards that allow us to constantly produce Super Saiyan Son Goku. And once Super Saiyan Son Goku hits the field, it allows us to play Resolute Strength Son Goku. Which, if you haven't seen this card, when you play it, you can take one of your cards in your life, put it in your drop, and if you do, you burst 5. You can bounce something that's 2 or less, ignoring barrier, and then you can play a Deadly Defender Vegeta on the board. Now, a few things jump out here. 1, you're playing a burst deck, and you just put 6 additional cards in your drop. So Scientist Fu is basically live. Secondly, you have the ability to bounce a card with barrier, which means you're playing an aggressive deck that has an answer to Goku striving to be the best while synergizing with your win condition. And 3, you're able to play Deadly Defender Vegeta, and while you don't get to take advantage of the fact that he counts as a blocker of sorts, taunting and making attacks come towards him, he actually maintains his 20k power. So essentially, you have this Goku your vanilla Goku. You swing with it. It probably has crit if you got off Dimension Support Trunks. Then you evolve into Resolute Strength. You get Deadly Defender. And now you have two 20Ks that are more than 2 costs, so they get around Supreme Kai Time Disruptor. And they both have barriers, so they're very hard to get rid of. Combo that in tandem with Training Buddy Krillin being able to get Goku's to apply the same damage, and you have an incredibly aggressive deck. We do play a small Mira engine at the top of the curve, so if we do need to close the game out, we have Mira Creator Absorbed plus Furthering Destruction Champa, or we can go Dark Absorption Mira into Mira Creator Absorbed, giving us the opportunity to swing with an infinite attack double strike for some pretty impactful turns. In the early game, we play Son Goku, the adventure begins, cycle some 4-star balls, and just keep our hand up because our leader doesn't draw unawakened, so we're really relying on getting cards quickly. One of the really cool things I like about the leader is the awakened ability to take 3 cards in your warp and put them back in your drop. They keep your cards very live. One of my favorite combos is I'll do Bardock Awakened Instincts. I'll warp 4, I'll play it, and then I'll discard the vanilla that I want to play with the Training Buddy Krillin. And then later, let's say I have a Son Goku Adventure Begins, but I already saw all 3 of my 4-star balls. I can take a 4-star ball in my warp. I can put it in my drop with the Mirror Leader ability, and then activate Adventure Begins to put that 4-star in my hand. So being able to take those 3 cards in your warp and make sure that your drop has Deadly Defenders and Vanillas and 4-star balls really allows the cycle to keep on going. So it's a very aggressive deck. I think about how I was playing a game yesterday. This was a hand that I had. In this game, I went first. I awakened on 2. I took 1 damage when their leader attacked my leader. And then this is how my turn 3 ended up. I was able to use 1 Sensu Bean to give me all the energy that I needed, but it was something in the vein of Training Buddy Krillin got the Goku. I swung with the Kid Goku and I gave it a Sensu Bean. So then I had 2 energy. I evolved 1 to Resolute Strength, and then I untapped 2 and used those 2 energy to use the Kid Goku to plop another Deborah on board. Super powerful, super aggressive, and while this would have been vulnerable to something like Flying Nimbus, this isn't a board that's particularly threatened by striving to be the best, because all it's stopping is your Training Buddy Krillin Onslaught. Not to mention the leader gets a +5 every time you use one of its abilities, so I was sitting pretty on a 25k leader, and I think I ended the turn with 7 cards in hand. So it's definitely an impactful, aggressive deck. As I said, I think as we explore the format, I think almost every black leader warrants exploration right now. While Demigra, Mira, and Towa, which Towa might see some of the same innovations that we see with Demigra, for the most part, Towa's not going to change too much with the next format. But honestly, every black leader, even if it's a Wish leader, if it's a leader that supports Overrealm, really deserves being explored right now. The ability to Overrealm multiple times per turn creates a lot of energy, a lot of power, very energy efficiently. And if you neglect taking the opportunity to explore these cards, it's going to come back to bite you. So thank you all for watching. Again, always appreciate the love and support. And keep your eyes peeled. We have a lot of videos on the horizon. We have set reviews. We have Pat's staple preset guide on how to win your sealed events and your drafts coming into set 7, as well as more deck profiles on how set 7 is going to impact the format. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye!